Now we're almost done. We are only left with edit button and the delete button. So let's start off with the edit button. Let's start by defining a view. Edit laptop. This is going to take the request as a parameter, and also it needs an additional parameter, that is the primary key of the element. So it has to know the primary key so as to identify the specific element which we are going to edit. Let's say item equal to get object or 404. It is trying to get a specific object from laptop model that has the primary key of this. This is basically like a select statement with this primary key. Now it's almost similar to the add device function. We're going to check if the request is a post request or a get request. Request.method equal to post. Then we're going to do something, and if it's a get request, we are just going to display the form with the information of the item which we have retrieved before. We're going to return render. We still haven't defined the edit HTML page. We'll just define this in a moment. Now what if it is a get request? What if it is a post request? If it's a post request, we are just going to populate the form with the information and with the information that we brought earlier, and check if the form is valid, and if it is valid, we're going to save the form and we're going to redirect it to the index page. And that's it. That's all it takes to edit an item. And we can repeat this function 3 times, or we can basically generalize this function as we did before and just call the function from within another function. So let's try that. Edit device. We're going to generalize this. This is going to take another model as a parameter and also a form parameter. As we already used form here, let's give it some other name called CLS. This is going to substitute model here and the form name here. So I think that should be enough. Okay, now we can define functions which actually call the above function. Edit laptop. It's going to take request and the primary key, and that it's going to pass those 2 values to the edit device. Return edit device request primary key laptop and laptop form. Now we can copy paste this 2 times. Edit desktop. Edit mobile. So that's it. Now we have to link these functions through the URL page. Now same as before, let's give these functions some URLs. Don't forget the comma. URL element, start and stop the regular expression. You're gonna say edit laptop, and we're going to call the function edit laptop. Now we'll copy and mobile. Now let's replace the pound symbols in the, let's create few buttons for each element. So we have to create an extra button for each element that is being rendered in this for tag. so that we can get an edit a button for every element in the index page. So let's do that. Let's go to our index page and add an extra button. We're going to define this as an anchor tag. Give it a class button warning and make it a small button. Give it a role of a button and make it edit. Now if we refresh and see, we have an edit button for each element. And you might see a problem right here. How can Django possibly know which element to edit? Is it coming from a laptop table? Is it coming from a desktop table? Is it coming from a mobile table? You can't hard code any value right here. You need to have 3 different links that are corresponding to edit laptop, edit desktop, and edit mobile. So we need to find a way to render 3 different buttons. If it is coming from the desktop button, you have to render a desktop button. If it is coming from a laptop button, you have to render a laptop edit button. So to do that, we're going to use the if construct of the Jinja 2 templating language. So we're gonna use if. In the if statement, we're going to use the header information which we passed earlier. You remember the header? This header had information of which type table the page was currently displaying, say laptop, desktop, or mobile. So let's use that information. So if the header was equal to laptops, we're going to render a laptop button. Else if the header was equal to desktops, we are going to render a desktop edit button, and if it's neither of those, we're going to render a mobile edit button. Let's end the if statement and edit those lines. So let's change this into our edit laptop function. And we're going to pass the primary key of the item. Remember, this has to match the arguments that are being passed in the views. So if you have the primary key, you also have to mention pass the primary key from the index page. Let's do the same with this guy. Edit desktop. Let's pass in the primary key. And same again, edit mobile. Okay, so the laptops, we had a capital L in the start, so let's fix that by passing the header through a filter lower. This makes sure that the header variable is converted to lowercase before comparing it with the desktop. With the header. As we can see, edit laptop, edit desktop, and edit mobile all take in an extra argument known as item.pk, and this item.pk can be any digit. So we have to mention the same in the urls.py. So let's do that. We have to say that this primary key can be any digit and of any length. If we do not pass this, Django is going to throw a URL mismatch error. So once that's done, let's start making the edit item.html. And the edit item.html is quite similar to add new.html. Actually, we don't have to change anything. Add edit item.html. So I think that will be enough. It's going to have the same fields and same code. Okay, now let's see if that works. Okay, get object of 404 is not defined. I think we forgot to import it. Get object of 404. Okay, laptops, edit. Now as you can see, we can successfully edit an item. Okay, let's try changing some values. Let's take a desktop 4, edit, and give it a name. Republic of Gamers. Item restocking add device. Okay, now as we can see, the name was successfully updated with the name which we have given. And as we can see, we forgot to change the name of add device. Let's say edit device. Okay, now it looks much better. And let's add a H tag, editing item. Now if we click on edit, we can clearly see that we are editing an item. So now all that's left is just defining a delete button. That process will be quite similar to the edit button, and let's start.